Hello and welcome to 2023 Spring Thing MPO lead card coverage for the final round. We're at the Anna Page South course in Rockford, Illinois. Second round of 18 for the day. We've got 5 players on our card. Your leader, Ryan Kramlik out of Machesney Park, Illinois. He's playing 6 under par for the first round. 1 stroke back, Bainter, coming from Heartland, Wisconsin. We've got a tie at third place between 2 great players, Dimock and Kyle Opfer. I apologize if I'm pronouncing your last name incorrectly. And then, like we said, 5 players on this lead card, and we've got a lefty to mix things up, kind of show us some different lines. This is a PDGA Sear Tier that took place on April 8th, 2023. And I'm actually joined with the tournament director himself, Dan Schlitter.
Thanks for having me, TJ. Super excited to look back at this coverage and see some good golf on a pretty technical course. So here we're starting on hole 1. Starts uphill, then tapers downhill towards the pin. There's 2 fairways, but most players will take the right option. Right-handed players are going to try and stand up a shot and get it to carry straight, and left-handed players are going to get something to drift over to that left side and hold and just kind of sit down near this pretty well-guarded pin. First on the tee, Ryan Kramlik in the lead, hot round on the West Blue course. He is a local. He knows these courses very well. Just pulls his shot a little bit off the tee on 1, but manageable to scramble. Bainter, he is from Wisconsin, but he is just over the border, maybe like 20-25 minutes away, I believe. So I consider him a local as well. He's the defending champion of this event, actually. Took it down last year.
I was going to ask, because this is actually Spring Thing 5, is that correct?
This is the 5th Spring Thing. We've run it for 6 years, but we did get canceled by COVID in 2020. But this is the 2nd year we've ran the event at Anna Page. So super happy to be back here. Always a popular event, and looking to expand it to use all 3 courses next year. So just always a great event to start the season.
It's a great property in that way. Those that are familiar, obviously you know there's 3 courses of 18, the east, the west, and the south. The south course being the most wooded, most technical, you would say?
Absolutely. Lots of trees, lots of shaping required, and a lot of tunnel shots, as you'll see, is the theme. Not to overlook Louis, he threw a very nice shot. Really just what you're trying to do on the hole is hit the fat gap. Even if you fade out a little left, you're going to have a putt. And just as I said, Kyle does the same thing. Really just the number 1 goal on hole 1. I feel like the start of this course is kind of a sprint. There are some holes that require scoring early, and then the back half is more, I would say, survival golf, where you'll see the holes that average a little more over par. So you'd like to get off to a flurry finish to start your round here on the South course.
Here's Ryan for a second. He did hit a little early.
Wow. What a run. That takes a lot of knowledge and confidence as well, because it goes right downhill after the pin. So if he misses that, that's going to be a hefty comebacker. Card lefty Colton Ferguson just getting it up close to the pin. Should be an easy 3. Colton's a local as well, and he's got a tremendous game. I'm very much looking forward to see the shapes that he can put together on this round. Louis for the long bird, just a little tentative, leaves it low. It's a pretty textbook drive by Kyle. Really what you're trying to do. This is a hard pin to park, but if you do hit that gap, you're going to give yourself a circle's edge look more often than not. Great putt by Kyle. Gets it in there. Very happy to start his round with a 2.
Defending champ for his bird.
Yeah, you're loving this. Boom, boom. Great conversion from Griffin. He will tie it up with the leader, Ryan, for the time being, just 1 hole in. This is another great thing about this course is there's plenty of separation to be had. So I expect to see a lot of lead shifts and just overall an exciting round to come. So just couldn't be more excited to see the rest of the South Course play out. Rest of the players tapping in for their easy pars. Really the commonality on hole 1.
Yep, so we already got a tie at the lead. 6 down, Griffin's getting started. Kyle's putting up a birdie as well.
So hole 2, 395-foot par 3. It bends off to the right around the tree line of evergreens that you're seeing now. Really nothing in the way on the left side. You just have to make sure to give yourself enough space to get your disc to move back to the right. Big right-handed, backhanded turnovers or forehands are really the play to get to this pin. Lefties are going to want to crush a big hyzer out. The wind is usually coming into play on these first few open holes in the field, so players are going to need to be aware of those conditions as well. Wasn't too bad today, actually. We had a gorgeous day. We were pretty notorious for having bad weather for the spring thing. What else do you expect first week of April in the Midwest? But we were blessed with a beautiful day today. Sunshine and pretty mild winds.
Yeah, it was definitely favorable weather, favorable conditions out there. I remember about halfway following through the round, I was saying, man, I wish I wasn't here because I wish I was playing somewhere. Half joking.
Griffin's shot was fantastic. He threw a powerful forehand that just had plenty of space to hit the fat of the fairway and get off to the right. And Kyle shows you the other way more technical option. He's got tremendous touch with his fairway drivers and slow speed discs. He lets that fairway driver drift over to the right, and that should be right near the pin. Ryan gets a good flex on it, but that's an overstable disc. He'll be a little left, but if that disc trickled, got some ground play, he'll be looking at a circle's edge putt, I'd reckon. This looks a little tight from Louis. Yeah, that's going to hit that right tree line and drop down. He actually fought through a little favorably. His approach should not be too tricky. And finally, Colton Ferguson. Beautiful line. Just lefty dream hyzer hole. Maybe a little long, looked strong, but he should be right there for a putt for birdie.
Really is just a textbook lefty hole, especially for the hyzer, and you don't see that often. I guess most courses are default towards right-handed players naturally.
That's true. And at this distance, too, it is kind of a separator because, you know, some might call it that lefty hole or a sidearm hole, but that's a pretty hard distance to consistently hit, especially on a full hyzer. That does require a lot of power. So textbook lefty hole, sure, but definitely requires that that elite distance to reach it comfortably.
100%.
Louis approaches pretty easily for the par. We've got a couple circle edge putts from Colton and Ryan here. Oh, he liked it a lot. Just a little high. Good commitment. Doesn't hurt the nerves going forward through the rest of the round to hit the band on a good 40-footer. Kyle did taper a little long. Usually a tailwind on this hole, so with his turnover shot, that likely just held up in the air a little bit. Little careful on the putt. I'm sure it was a bit of a headwind in that direction, so he was more so probably making sure if he did miss, it didn't go too far past. It did result in a little bit of a tentative putt. Same can be said for Griffin there. That was not the best bid, as he gives his frisbee a little punishment.
Bent that thing in half. You know, they're just, you know, some of these players are maybe shaking off the nerves. I think it was a surprise that we had a camera waiting on hole 1 for some of them.
You're correct. I remember talking to all these guys, and they all shared their surprise when there was just like, oh my gosh, this is going to be filmed? Yep, surprise. Didn't want to tell you. Oh man. Yeah, call it nerves, maybe a little bit of a rushed putt, but Griffin's better than that. He's going to be looking to clean that up. If he wants to remain competitive on the lead card, he needs to convert on those short putts and stay strong up top. So slight shift up top again. Ryan outright leader with the birdie. That will help. So, excuse me, he took a par. We're moving on to hole 3, 502-foot par 4. This one is a bit of a tweener, but I have a hard time looking at it as a par 3. It's a very hard pin to reach. It does go slightly uphill off the tee, throwing out of a wooded gap, and there is a road behind the pin, maybe about 30-35 feet, that does play out of bounds. The tee to the next hole, hole 4, is that woods that you see on the left side. You're really just looking to keep something straight or out to the right to give yourself an easy second. No reason to fade out to the left.
Definitely a fair par 4. I can't imagine there was many 2s on the card through the whole day.
There were. This is a hard one for sure. And Kyle did not listen to my advice, and he's trying to throw a controlled shot, but does leak a little left. That'll be more technical of a second that he's looking for. Ryan makes the correct mistake by just getting it over too far right. Drifts it over with the wind and cut rolls a bit, but he's still center cut. Should have a routine approach to the pin for a look at bird. Louis puts a move, gets it out there flat, and that checks up just fine. That's a good pump. That'll be probably around 150 into the pin, flat ground. Really not too much left to get up and down for the bird. Colton playing to his strength by just throwing a stock backhand hyzer and just giving himself plenty of room to open up to the second. Griffin is not content with just a stock shot. He mashes one out there. That'll probably be the CTP of the card, and he'll be long jump putt, maybe just a chip hyzer away from the pin. Really nice shot.
Yeah, not even, bro. It was up there. No ladder. Nice shot.
Ryan puts it up there really nicely. Kyle being forced to throw a roller, and there's definitely some wind out there. It just burned it out right and didn't even give it a chance to curl up. He'll be scrambling to get up and down for his par. Colton throwing a forehand overstable. I think it was a Firebird, and that's fine. That sticks close, a little left, but he's about 15, 20 feet away. Should be a routine cleanup. Louis lets this one leak left. That's just not what he was looking for there. With such a little distance to go, he wanted to get that one close, just like Griffin did right there. That's how you play the hole. Throw a drive, throw a easy approach, tap in your 3, and move on. That's kind of what you do with those tweener par 3, par 4 that can go either way. So Kyle pitched up for the 4. Louis for his 3 from distance, just an inch high. This hole does play pretty close to a playground, so gotta remain mentally strong to power through any of the noises you might hear or the children screaming or anything that may come around a big park such as Anna Page. Looks like we've got fours for Kyle and Louie, and all of the local boys clean up for their threes. So we will have a little shift in the lead. I believe Ryan has that one stroke lead still over Griffin, and then we've got Kyle one back of that, and Louie and Colton one back of Kyle. So still a tight race and could go any way. Welcome to hole 4. It's a par 3. It's 232 feet. It is elevated. It is a pretty straight tunnel shot. Not much shaping required other than just pumping one out there straight. Putter or mid-range is really the play, and just as little left to right movement as you can have on this shot, the better. This cage does lean a little bit to the side, so you'd like to put it on the lower side to have a little bit easier of a putt. Kramlik, near ace run. That looked phenomenal. That held up in the wind really nicely. Just a little low right of the chains, but really great shot. Pipes the gap. He should have somewhere around circle's edge coming back for the birdie, depending on how far he went. Colton, lefty forehand, hits the gap. That's all you can ask for. Fades out a little early left. That might be a tricky angle for a lefty putter, but we'll see what he's left with for his second. Griffin down-tempos it, but still pulls a little bit to the right side. Good kick back to the fairway. He'll be trying to scramble for his par. Another player really good at down-tempo shots is Kyle Opfer, and he throws that about as good as you can. Laces the gap, perfect touch, and that lays up right next to the pin for a challenging tap-in birdie. Nothing is a gimme on these elevated pins, especially with a little bit of wind.
It's got a little scramble about halfway to the basket off the tee. Takes care of it. He's right there.
Yeah, just on the backside. Look good. Griffin, after a birdie start, looking to even the ship and get off the roller coaster maybe. Colton, that dropped right out of his hand with the wind. Tough bid. Good bid, but little low. That's going to result in a hopefully easy cleanup for par. Here's Kramlik, about 40 feet or so. Just a little low. It's up there, ladies and gentlemen. This pin is very high up there, and it can be tough, especially from long distances, to give it the height it requires, because you just don't want the comebacker if you so happen to airball. And that's 3 in a row, short tentative putts that just don't creep over the lip. Griffin to clean up. This is the bad side of the basket too, if you can see that lip. But he gets it just over the right side edge, creeps in. Great par save from Griffin. Looks like we've got a lot of cleanups. As you can see, not easy. Colton and Ryan in for the par. Kyle's got to be so close if these guys are all cleaning up.
Oh yeah, Kyle was absolutely parked. You can't play this hole any better than
Wow.
this.
That's the putt you want on this hole. Wow. Nice drive, Kyle. And as you can see, none of those putts from any of the other 4 competitors were routine or easy at all, and they were all inside of about 15 feet.
Hole 5.
Hole 5 is a 335 foot par 3. This hole has one main fairway, a little left fairway that is pretty fresh, but the main fairway is what you're going to want to take. Right-handed players are going to throw a straight fairway driver that stands up late, or left-handed players are going to want to turn something over slightly that neutralizes at the end of its flight. This is a unique distance where it's a unique shape and distance for your fairway driver to fly. So I'm curious to see how these players will shape it up. You just don't see a lot of park jobs on hole 5. Kyle, right idea, just stands it up a little too straight and pulls it to the right side woods. Ryan hits a good hyzer flip and just carries a bit straight. That's fine. That's a long putt. Really what you're looking to do is get one to just stand up but still be moving left on a pushing hyzer angle the entire way. Colton leaks right side, but looks like it carries a good amount of the way. Griffin trying to keep it inside. Keeps it a little too inside and kicks off to the left hand rough. And finally, Louis. Louis hits the hyzer well, doesn't really stand up, and does skip off to the left side of the green, so he'll have a long circle twos bid. Good up by Griffin there. Good touch and giving the chains a bit of a run. Off the fairways at Anna Page South can get a little dicey. There are a lot of fallen trees and debris that it can get in your way, and it can give you an awkward or pointy lie, and you really have to be conscious of your footing, especially off the fairway on holes such as hole 5, just to make sure that you're not putting yourself in danger and giving yourself the best opportunity to score. A little right side from Kyle there. Some visible frustration. I don't know if it was a distraction or he's just waiting for his putt to feel comfortable. Either way, he'll clean up for a likely par. Here's Kramlik, circle's edge, looking for a birdie. Sails that one a bit high, rolls to about 25. Not what you want having coming back for par. Wow. Don't know if chains were required on that one. That one hits the front lip and caroms in and call it a par save.
Flops right in there.
I'd say no pictures on the scorecard, but we have video. Same with Kyle's. That was a little 50-50 flopper on the right side. Fortunately got the good 50. Takes a deep breath. He'll look to collect himself and get rid of those nerves going forward.
Yeah, rest of the card just going to tap out their threes, which on a hole like this, you're not really gaining strokes on the field, but you're not losing them either. A lot of the holes are like that out here.
When you don't throw the perfect drive, you just want to make sure you're in a position to perform damage control. And if that means chipping up for an easy par or giving it a long look from distance, that's fine. But as long as you're not giving any back to the course on the south course, then you will be successful. Hole 6, 216-foot par 3. This is the tightest tunnel shot we have on the south course. It's tight, but at a short distance, it's manageable. And if you can hit something flat through this gap, it should slide right on up to the pin. This pine straw really allows the discs to have the good ground play. So the key is keeping it low. That way, if you do hit a tree, you won't kick too far left or right. Kyle on the tee. Absolutely pipes the gap. Maybe hits the last tree on the left before he gets to the fat of the green. Either way, he should have a inside the circle putt for a birdie. Ryan starts it on hyzer through the gap, hits a left side tree, but gets kind of a forward kick. He'll still have a long putt for birdie. At 216, as long as you hit these first set of trees, you should be putting for birdie. Unfortunately, Colton hits the first set of trees, kicks back to the left, and even scrambling for a par from there is quite tricky.
You got a turkey in the play. Griffin, get razzed. Thanksgiving come early.
That's not the birds you want.
I mean, you want a turkey. Maybe a little
that's true.
foreshadowing.
Oh, I almost got him.
Oh my gosh. Gobble, gobble, gobble. I don't know if that was an intentional play by Griffin or if he just pulled his shot to the right and got lucky, but that got through. That almost looked by design. I'm going to have to find out if that was on purpose or not. Louis laced it. He's looking to pick up his first bird of the round, get on the train, and hopefully scoop up a few more. That was a beautiful shot.
Yeah, and I can't imagine how this looks from Colton's perspective. There's a lot to get through here.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice job.
And he does it very
That
well.
was so impressive. That I know how hard that is. I've been there. It is stressful. So to get through clean, unscathed, that's very impressive. What a nice scramble by Colton. One inch low from Kramlik. He's been very close on a lot of putts, I feel like, but they've just been 1 inch high, 1 inch low. He could have a really good round going right now if these putts were falling.
Kyle in for a nice birdie. He's putting together. He's getting started early.
He scooped some up. He's content. I'm sure he wants to get more. These shapes are perfect for his game, but not getting any bogeys and still picking up some birdies is a fine start on South. Griffin cashes in for the birdie. Louis looks closer than that. There he is. He's on the board. Good birdie, Louis. Colton for an awesome par save. Ryan tapping in for par. He's just not far off. So close. Just needs to make the slight adjustments. He's only got the one birdie so far. We've got a three-way tie at the top.
Another one of the long ones. Hole 7, 736. You kind of shoot exactly where this camera's zooming into the front or the center of your frame. You peek left, and it's even, several hundred feet more down along this tree line. And once again, you turn left, and you see the basket there. It's a par 5.
This hole is commonly referred to as the horseshoe hole or the U-turn hole because that's the shape of the hole. It is a right-handed hyzer dream, but the tee shot is probably the most technical of all the shots. This one can go back and forth from a par 4 to a par 5, depending on who you ask. But it's a tricky pin to access into just because that first shot is demanding, and then the second shot requires a really particular shaped hyzer as well. Kyle makes it snow somehow off the branch that he hit. That was insane. He kicks down. He'll still be in the fairway. Griffin pushed a power hyzer really nicely. It looked potentially a little tight at the corner. We'll have to see where it landed. But if he's clean, that's how the eagle is in play.
Yeah, I think that Griffin's distance is about what you want off the tee here. Looking back at the scores, I think there was 2 eagles on the day. So 2 players out of a pool of what 24 or 28. You're getting rewarded for a 3 on this one.
Absolutely. Great drives by Louis, and it looks like Ryan as well got around the corner. Colton being a lefty and not having the forehand power to get around this corner just elects to go with a clean backhand to give himself a clean second shot as well. It does get tough if you hit early on this hole because that second shot, you want to throw it as hard as you can, but the scattered trees in the fairway make it hard to push much further, and the fact that you can't get any turn on your disc as the hole moves left constantly, it makes this kind of a challenging series of shots.
So Colton's shot actually finished far left. Cameraman lost that one. I think he lost it in the sky. We'll have to get some better cameramen out there in the future.
You can hear the wind. I mean, some of these open holes on the south course are full access to the windy gusts, and this hole in particular, when you're approaching the pin, is a straight headwind left to right. So if you get that nose angle exposed, who knows what's going to happen. So Ryan did make the corner, but it is a little pinched, but he threads the needle. That's a phenomenal shot. That's got to be a look for eagle for Ryan. Great shot. Griffin throws the dream drive. I mean, you can't put a drive in a much better spot unless it's closer to the pin. Catches a little branch off of his second, but it looks like it maintained the strength and integrity of the shot and pushed pretty close to the pin. Kyle's third, pumps it out wide. Definitely some wind slowing it down, but carries a good ways towards the pin. He'll have a putt looking for his birdie. This is a softer par 5 in the stance where you can throw a not great drive and still be able to get a birdie. It does take a series of 2 amazing shots to be looking at an eagle. But I think that a 5 doesn't feel good. A 4 feels good, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's a par 4 or it's a par 5. This is a tweener hole, in my opinion, as well. But either way, a 3 is a phenomenal score on this hole. A 4 is an okay to fine score. You're not feeling great about a 5.
Griffin, his second shot came a little early left, and he was maybe outer C2 for the eagle look.
Tries giving it the floaty bit and almost sneaks in the backside. Oh, great putt for Louis for his birdie. That's phenomenal. Outside the circle for sure. That's 2 in a row. Nobody saw you trip on that stick, Louis.
Heating up, 2 in a row for Louis.
Kyle for his 4 from about 30 feet. These are great putts. I know this is a windy, very exposed green. Good on these guys for taking their time and sticking it in the heart.
Yeah, I mean, after his tee shot, he still get a birdie there. Can't ask for much more than that.
Here's Ryan for the eagle. Nice shot to get this close for a putt at 3. And his putter just hasn't been, it's been going everywhere but in. That one a little high, shows us how windy the green is. Fortunately hits the comebacker. He's looking to tighten that up to make sure that he's not costing himself strokes on the green. It's hard enough to make it happen with the drives and the approaches on a wooded course or a challenging course such as the South Course at Page. The green is not where you want to leave strokes out here.
Couple drop-in birdies for Griffin and Colton. The whole card is actually going to card a birdie there. We still have a 3-way tie at the top. 8 down now for Bainter, Opfer, and Kramlik.
Love to see the true star frame. 5 players, 5 points on the star. Good job, boys. Hole 8, 287-foot par 3. Don't let the distance fool you. This hole is difficult. It is so tight off the tee and throughout the rest of the fairway. As you can see, look at all of these scattered trees. The gaps are minimal. You really have to commit to a shape and a line off of the tee. There's a sneaky right gap that you can see off the camera right here, but not many players take it. It's the most direct route, but it is very, very high risk off of the tee, because when you take your run up, you just can't even see the gap at all. So most players will do exactly what Griffin and Kyle have done. A nice straight forehand on hyzer that is able to slice those gaps up and get through. That's really well done. Louis taking the backhand play a little low. I'm sure he wanted that higher and a little more turn, but mainly just making sure he hits the main series of trees. Hits a late one, kicks off to the left. Ryan, tight forehand, kicks that tree, sits in the fairway. Can't be too disappointed. A lot of people think that this is kind of a poke and pray style hole. There are gaps, they're there, but it's hard to pick one and see it off of the tee, which is why I think it can be frustrating. Colton just slightly pulls it. He was trying to keep it high and drift it back right. Just a little too far to the left side, catches a tree. Tough scramble on the right side for a lefty. Throws a pretty good shot, all things considered. Hits a late tree. He'll have a putt for par from about mid-circle 2. I think Ryan and Louis will be scrambling, throwing some shots up to the pin to try and clean up their par, hopefully. Well done from Ryan. This pin is very well protected by a series of trees as well, and it's important to be conscious of what side of the basket you're landing your disc on to clean up your putt, not only off the tee but on the approach as well. This is a really common landing zone for those forehands, a really difficult pin to access. Kyle about 60 feet away or so with a pretty clean look, gives it a really honest bid, but just comes up a bit short, hits the tray. Colton a little tentative on the par save attempt. He'll have a little cleaning up left to do for his bogey, unfortunately. The noises of Anna-Page South, I'm sure you can hear. Lots of tree hits, grumbles. Griffin, unfortunately, following suit with a fairly poor putt attempt. He wanted to just get it high and floaty, make the angle, and just pulled it a bit, centered up that tree, and rolled to another 15 feet back. Awesome putt. Doesn't even matter. Great par save by Griffin to maintain his share of the lead, with neither Ryan or Kyle picking up a birdie here. He just wants to make sure that he does not give one back. Kramlik and Louis in for their pars. Good cleanups. Colton looking to tap in his bogey, and it looks like Kyle is just about next to the pin for his par cleanup as well.
Could be a nice job.
So after 8, we still have the 3-way tie at the top. 8 under par for Ryan, Griffin, and Kyle. Louis is 2 back, and Colton is 2 back of him.
Hole 9, straight up, very similar to hole 4 and hole 6 in some ways. Just straight through the woods. There's a There's a pretty big gap on the right. Well, not big, but relatively speaking to a lot of the holes on this course. Let's take a peek back down to the tee pad.
Yeah, this hole plays downhill, so it's a quick 236. And you said it, it's tunnel shot number 3, and we're only on hole 9. So if you can pipe the fairway that is designed for you, you will have a good opportunity at birdie. Kyle, little bit pulled, leaks that one over right side. Good kick back to the fairway. Not what he was looking for. Griffin, opposite mistake, hits the left side, kicks further left. There are some alleys over there for long putt attempts, so I wouldn't count him out for the birdie, but not what you're looking for. Louis, following Kyle's line, unfortunately, pulls right side, kicks back to the left. Looked like it pushed forward a bit, but not in circle 2, I don't believe. Kramlik with a really smooth shot. Beautiful. Great touch, great shape, and that's going to be fairly parked for a birdie. Berg sighting.
He's got the Glowberg in his hand. Lefty flick.
Little bit left side. Needed to get that over a touch more to really hit that bulk of the fairway. Looks like we'll have one very close birdie putt and 4 scrambles for par. So here are those left side gaps I was talking about. You can funnel over left early and still have some pretty friendly hallways to attack the pin. Louis giving it an honest attempt. Little over the top. He'll have a little work left. Same with Colton. Just a little overcommitted on the right side. He committed to the gap he was going for, but with a little bit of wind sneaking through from the road, it does get a little gusty out here, and it looked like that just didn't have enough time or spin to move back right. Just a pitch up from Griff. He looked like he was pretty pinched in the woods. And Ryan, not as parked as I thought. Like I said, that 236 sneaks up fast, so he's a little long. That's his second putt that did not require chains.
He
Sticks
just drops
it
him in the tray.
Absolutely. Gets it to fall, which I'm sure he's extremely happy for. Maintains a clean front 9, 3 under par. Not bad for Ryan.
He's off to a great start, and he's holding the lead, or holding his position very well so far. Sean's C tiers are like B tiers. Can you attest to that?
That's an understatement. They're like B plus tiers.
B plus. 89%.
Louis cleaning up the par, no problem. That was a B plus hole by Louis. Looking to play some A pluses on the back 9. Kyle's 4 down on the front. This is for his par. Cleans it up. Solid start for him as well. He's only 1 back of Ryan. Coming into the round, I believe he was 3 back. So to pick one up, that's exactly what you're looking for, as long as you can gain some ground on the leader.
Through 9, Kramlik back in the lead. 1 stroke ahead of Bainter and Opfer at 8 down. Louis and Colton are going to round out our card. And keep in mind that places on this card are relative to the card itself. There's 28 players in this MPO pool, so there's other players out there. Things can change. So not to say they're doing worse than 4th or 5th, but that could be the case.
We will catch you on the back 9. Thanks for tuning in to Local Route.